Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It's March 26, 2014, and let's get straight into our news tonight. Top story, troops practice storming university building in Fort Lauderdale. Residents in Fort Lauderdale were shocked to see Navy SEALs practicing storming a university building from a Black Hawk chopper as part of military drills taking place this week. As we reported yesterday, the media only announced that the Department of Defense exercises were taking place across the country after panicked residents reported low-flying military helicopters on Monday evening. And it's not just in Fort Lauderdale because they're having these drills right here in Austin, Texas, but they're not with Black Hawk choppers. They're with largely unmarked planes that have little Navy logos that we think we can make out. But regardless, we want to find out what's going on, so let's talk to the airport right now.
Aviation Public Information, this is Jason.
Yes, this is Jakari Jackson, reporter for Infowars.com. I had Hey, how you doing? I had a question about the plane that's flying around today. It was a white plane, largely unmarked. I think I may have spotted a Navy logo on it. Do you guys know anything about that?
Yeah, we've heard that it's an E6 B707 aircraft that's doing touch-and-go practice landings on our west runway. Practice touch-and-go landings are very common, and we're not just a commercial airport. We're also a general aviation and we also have a lot of military aircraft that come in and out.
Right.
So it's not unusual to have the touch-and-go landings. When they're performing the touch-and-go landings, their altitude stays at a pretty low level, just because they aren't taking off and leaving. They're basically just circling and back around so that they can continue to get in position to do the practice landings time and time again. Okay,
do you have about an estimate of their altitude when they fly those things, about how
No, that's a question for the FAA.
Okay.
We don't have any of that information. They're the ones that basically have to file with the FAA on their activity. I have a public affairs number if you want to reach out to the FAA.
Sure, just 1 second. Can you give me the type of plane? You said it was an E6B...
B707.
B707. Okay. And have you got any other calls? Anybody else calling in concerned about this?
Yeah, we've had some inquiries into the plane and what it's doing and why it's flying basically lower than what is normally they normally see aircraft flying at that altitude in and out of the airport. I think mainly because of its size,
right?
And also because it's rush hour right now, so a lot of people are seeing it. But it's been performing this throughout the day, off and on.
And you guys had a similar drill sometime last year, did you not?
Yeah, I believe so. A similar aircraft, I think the same size aircraft. I don't know if it was the same one or not. And like I said, it's a common occurrence at the airport. Just usually not an aircraft of this size, and so that's why it's garnering more attention. More times than not, it's usually like the general aviation plane, so they're very small, and people don't take note of it as much as they do something this size.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Take care.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
So we tried to talk to the FAA. Their representative was not immediately available for comment, but we were told by the Austin PIO that the plane was indeed a E6 B707. So they're running drills. Not exactly sure why. He also confirmed that they ran a similar drill last year. You guys may recall that incident where the plane was flying low, just like it was today. So I'm not sure why they are running these drills. Do they have some type of plot involved? Is it just to acclimate the public? Who knows? But we'll keep an eye on it right here at Infowars.com. Woman claims police forced her to poop in her yard. That's quite the transition. In a lawsuit, Brooks claims the officers refused to let her go to the bathroom inside of her home or use the officer's truck when she was let out in handcuffs. Officers reportedly told her just to use the restroom right there in her front yard, said the district judge, Roy Dalton Jr. Judge Dalton dismissed the claims last week, and Brooks can amend her civil rights complaint until April 4th. So I don't know why they do things such as this. You know, you have a situation where somebody is detained or arrested, and they may not have the use of a facility, but they just tell you to go on yourself right there where you are. You guys remember when they raided Adam Kokesh's house, and his girlfriend was on her cycle, and she did not have the proper toiletries to, keep herself clean the way she wanted to. She had blood running down her legs, and nobody really seemed to care because, they were in Fallujah mode treating American citizens as if they were enemy combatants. And that's what happens in this country, and people just get acclimated to it, they get used to it, and it becomes the norm. I don't want these type of things to be the norm where you have to poop in your pants in your own front yard because the officers won't let you go and then they just sit around and laugh about it. That's not the type of law enforcement we need in our country. If you do have an ear to law enforcement or military personnel, make sure they do not act in such a way. This is how they treated people in Guantanamo Bay, or continue to treat people in Guantanamo Bay. Customer with gun rescues Home Depot security guard from syringe attack. Now, this is a situation. A shoplifter was at Home Depot and began violently resisting detainment Monday. A quick-thinking, gun-toting customer came to the rescue. After store security guards attempted to apprehend him, the suspect, police say Silva began whirling the syringe around in a swinging motion and was able to stab one of the guards several times with a contaminated needle. But a concealed carrier pulled out their pistol, and faced with the threat of deadly force, the suspect stopped fighting and complied with the order. And that's sometimes all it takes, because you don't have to pull out your gun and start shooting indiscriminately. You can just pull out your gun, draw down, say, this is about to get very serious if you do not handle yourself accordingly. And that's what happened in this situation. The man decided to drop his attack, just like we saw the stories that don't get told in the mainstream about people pulling out their pistols and they end the conflict. There's a situation of the man in the mall shooting. A concealed carrier pulled out his pistol, didn't have to fire a shot. The guy saw the pistol and committed suicide. You have these type of things, but they never get reported in the mainstream because that goes against the narrative that more guns equals more crime. No, guns can end crimes, just as we saw in this situation, and hopefully everybody will come out better for it. Former Blackwater mercenaries hired as thought police in eastern Ukraine. Russia's state-owned news agency claims that the junta in Kiev has hired a Blackwater spinoff to act as a political police force in the eastern part of the country. Ukrainian authorities believe that the security service is not able to suppress the protest mood and neutralize the leadership and activists of the pro-Russian movement in the eastern region. Therefore, it was decided to attract foreign mercenaries who will serve as political police and state security protection, said the representative of the security service. Now, of course, our viewers know that Blackwater is most famous or infamous for a 2007 incident where they opened fire and killed 17 civilians in Iraq, as well as many other misdeeds along the way. We saw a guy who was at least wearing a Blackwater hat at South by Southwest last week, the week before. He denied it, but, he looked like one to me. Regardless, that's why they bring in these mercenary groups or these people who don't have a real emotional attachment to the people that they're policing, just like we see them bringing in Russian troops to train with FEMA, or at least the Russian government has put out press releases saying that that is the case. They plan to bring Russian troops over here to train for emergency disaster events. So for whatever reason, things turn south and they have to deal with a unhappy, unfriendly population. They have a bunch of Russian troops that aren't exactly the neighbor boy from down the street who will deal very harshly, or could potentially deal harshly, with the protesters or any other people that may arise in these type of situations. So I don't think it's a very good idea, but I don't really agree with a whole lot that's going on either in this country or the situation being handled in Ukraine. Judge awards permanent custody of Justina Pelletier to the state. Pelletier allegedly suffers from a mitochondrial disease, a rare and controversial disorder where the body cells can't produce energy. Their parents brought Justina to the Children's Hospital ER, and they say the doctors quickly cast aside her diagnosis and instead concluded her problems were of a psychiatric origin, ruling her parents were committing child abuse by pursuing a medical rather than mental health treatment. They gave custody of her to the state. So this is the world we live in, where the state's going to tell you what's wrong with your son. Your son goes to the ER with a broken arm. Oh, my son needs a cast for his arm. No, your son needs these happy pills to make him feel better. And if you have a problem with that, they'll take your child away. And that may seem like an extreme example, but that's exactly what's happening. The state is telling you what you can and cannot do. There was a story about the woman who had a SWAT team raid. They drove a tank up to her house. I believe this was a Natural News article a few years ago, where they come busting this woman's house because she refused to go with the treatments the state prescribed for her daughter. And that's what they do. They'll do what they want to do. And this is what a tyrannical government looks like. People say, what's this tyranny you guys talk about? This is the tyranny. We will take your child away if we don't like what you're doing. We'll take your child away if you smoke a little bit of marijuana. And I'm not, saying you should go out and light up a joint right now. But if that's what you do, I don't think your child should be taken away for that. And it's the same thing that we see in this situation right here. And if they can't take your child away from you, they'll at least try to indoctrinate them and just make them dumb. This is the story we have right now with Common Core. You have 2 + 2 = 5, and now you have this. And the teacher wrote a response to a student and said, correct answers, but let's find the friendly numbers like 200. So even if you do your math correctly, your teacher is going to tell you that you didn't find the most friendly answers, the friendly numbers. So it's still wrong, and it has a big Common Core logo right there on the edge of the paper, so you can know who's responsible for this. It's Common Core. It's No Child Left Behind. It's dumbing our students down, the deliberate dumbing down of the American public, just like Charlotte Iserby said all those years ago. You can also find her work on the Infowars shop. Great books and videos there as well. U.S. Navy tests homes for radiation in the San Francisco Island areas. So let's find out what's going on here. In the coming weeks, the Navy officials will begin surveying about 600 homes on Treasure Island, a man-made landmass in the San Francisco Bay that once served as a naval base. In the event of a radiological survey of the housing unit reveals a health concern, the Navy will take immediate action to protect the residents, the Navy said in a statement. So if you're not hip to the activities of Treasure Island, this is where they shipped out parts for the Manhattan Project, of course, that brought us the atomic bomb. They also had ships come in, and if the ships had toxic paint or whatever, they would scrape off the paint into the water, so you have toxic paint from your boat going into the water. They also had a plethora of dead farm animals. So if you live on Treasure Island or around that area, it's a very good chance that you may be sitting on a graveyard of radioactive horses or ducks or cows, whatever. I'm not making that up. You can go look that up for yourself. So it's a very contaminated area as it is. You know, the Navy and the other groups did try to clean it up years back. I'm not exactly sure how clean it is now, but you have this on top of the Fukushima radiation coming over, already made contact with the United States, or at least the North American continent, and I'm pretty sure we'll have more reports of the Fukushima radiation as time develops. But we also have things such as right outside of San Francisco, a little bit southwest, at the towns down there, they have high levels of radiation. We went down there, personally found radiation levels to be in excess of 10 times of what's considered to be normal for that area. So things to worry about if you're on the West Coast, and we don't know where else it's going to be. Is it on the East Coast? Is it down south? Who knows? But we definitely found high levels of radiation when we went out to the San Francisco area. Let's talk about Drudge, the Drudge Report. And now we have how Mount Drudge and the others, victims of Obamacare, can escape from the Liberty Tax. For Drudge and other Americans who don't want to buy Obamacare due to personal objections, there is a little-known hitch in the IRS. You can go to Section 1501 on page 148, and there is a mandate, opt-out exemption of the health care plan for health care sharing ministry. So you can go find that out. I know there are various groups out there. I don't want to promote any particular one, but some guys in the office use these ministry exemptions, and something I'm actually looking into for myself. So hopefully there is a way out. And our final story for the night: lies, lies, and more lies. Seattle police secretly keep drones despite promise. Because you remember the Seattle mayor said that, hey, I don't want these drones in my city. The police said, okay, we'll fly the drones without your consent. So this is pretty much the story that we have here. And this is actually the story that's going to be our second block tonight. We'll be talking about drones, whether they're drones here domestically with these smaller drones or the big Predator drones, and all the drones in between. So stay tuned for that. These weaponized drones coming to a city near you. But something that you need to come to right now: prisonplanet.tv. If you don't have a 15-day free trial, go get one. Go get a membership. See the Alex Jones radio show, the nightly news, the special reports, the rants, all right there on prisonplanet.tv. And at the end of our show, Shane Steiner from Brothers in Orange will be talking with Leanne McAdoo about his transformation since taking super male vitality. You don't want to miss that, so stick around. It's the Infowars Nightly News. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? The things we can do with modern technology, such as the drone that made that viral YouTube video. But just like much of our modern technologies, drones are ripe for abuse.
When is a drone picture a benefit to society? When does it become stalking? When does it invade privacy? How close to a home can a drone go? I'm in my home and there's a demonstration out front and I go to peek out the window and there's a drone facing me. Well, whoever was running it turned it around quickly and it crashed.
I'm not sure why anyone would want to peek in the window of Senator Feinstein, but regardless, I'm glad the senator is at least speaking out about the issue of privacy. She had previously said that it's okay to spy on U.S. citizens and may now be rethinking her choice of words. Don't get me wrong, though, there are plenty of harmless uses for a drone, such as land surveying or making YouTube videos. But when does that become a violation of someone's privacy? For example, is it an illegal search and seizure if police fly a drone over someone's property? The mayor of Seattle seems to think so, but there are plenty of other cities that would disagree.
Deputies can fly this 50-pound Shadowhawk unmanned helicopter. A powerful camera on the front is controlled with this game-like console, and the manufacturer says this one's even designed to carry weapons.
You'd have a stun baton where you can actually engage somebody at altitude with the aircraft, and a stun baton would essentially disable a suspect.
If one of these things, quote, malfunctions and hits an unintended target, who, if anyone, will be held accountable? Not to mention the weirdos who use drones as high-tech peeping toms. And now for the two big words.
Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
We've seen how inaccurate lethal drones have been overseas. They've even killed U.S. citizens. So why on earth would anyone want to bring these things to the States?
It is great to see American machines helping to promote peace abroad. So then tell me, why can't we use these machines here at home? Why is America so robophobic?
So in closing, if you're innocently filming a class project or trying to find the best place to install a pool on your land, then go ahead. But remember, while we're busy watching YouTube videos, they're busy watching us. You can find more reports at Infowars.com. You are watching the Infowars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. Members can share their passcodes with up to 11 other people, and your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.